Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udihirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktiri Bhavati Nayistike Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindam Sarvakarana Karanam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thanks for the opportunity and thanks for joining. So we are in the ninth chapter, right? 9 chapters of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. And 7th chapter, starting 7th onwards, all about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, so up to 6th chapter talks about living entity, how he has to be engaged in the devotional service, starting from 7th to all the way about the Supreme Lord, his opulences, his qualities, etc. Okay, so the previous this shloka, right, Krishna gives information about how living entities have been emanated from him, starting from Lord Brahma, how from Lord Brahma all the living entities have come into existence. And if we go back to 10.6, I just want to give a little synopsis here. If you go back to 10.6 here, Krishna is telling here, the seven great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of the mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings, population, the various planets, descend from them. So this also confirms that the original source is Lord Sri Krishna. From him everything emanates. That's why we call Sarvakarana Karanam. So first we had 7 rishis. The 7 rishis are Bruhu, Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulasya, Pulaha, and Krito. There's 7 rishis. And 4 Kumaras, we all know that, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumaras. And 14 Manus, 14 Manvantaras, in one day of Brahma, 14 Manvantaras, 14 Manus. From all of them, this total 25 from whole entire universe was manifested. All the living beings, all the living beings, varieties of living beings came from them. Okay. Then, so that's also clearly explaining everything emanates from all the living entities emanated from Lord Brahma, basically. And again, the origin of Lord Brahma is Lord Vishnu. Okay. So now this current shloka explains basically about the how having known these facts, this information about Supreme Lord, how all living entities have been emanated from these 25 personalities, how we need to engage in our devotional service to Krishna. Okay, so and also we see that we say that they're born out of mind of Brahma. Then question comes, how it takes birth from Brahma. So usually we think that birth means only physical union of the 2 bodies, but that's not the way it happened. It can also come from mind also, because that is also body. Mind is also part of the body. Body, which body? We have subtle body and gross body. Subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. The subtle body, we call it, right? And the appearing, which is the subtle body, is why? Because subtle we cannot see through our eyes. And we have gross body, right? And the subtle body is the cause of our gross body. The subtle body is the gross body. The subtle body is the cause for our gross body. What kind of gross body you want in the next lifetime, that is decided by our subtle body. How? Because at the time of death, our subtle body with the soul goes and forms the next body. And subtle body is compared with a microchip. Microchip is all the memories in that subtle body. Life after life, everything is embedded in that microchip that's called subtle body. And subtle body has all the information. And based upon our propensities or inclinations, the subtle body forms the next gross body. Okay. And that is why we always say control the mind, control the mind. Why we say control the mind? Because mind is the one which creates all this havoc in our life. That's why we need to regulate the mind, purify the mind with Shastra, Sadhu, Guru, etc., listening to them, and everything in. So they are just born out of mind of Brahmaji. But Brahma himself came from the novel of Krishna. We all know that. That's why it is said that Krishna says, my opulences, vibhuti. And we need to understand the glory and the power of Krishna, vibhuti and yoga. Okay. And we'll go to this sloka and recite the sloka one time. And let us, I'm really, nobody, I don't see anyone face to face. I'm kind of depressed, when I see we already working whole day depressed. Now I'm seeing all these phones with the names, more depression. So maybe you can see one or two faces, at least we get inspiration to speak. Okay. 10.7, yes, at least repeat the shloka after me. Etam vibhutim yogam cha. Oh, nobody is there.
Yedam vibhuti yogam cha.
Mama yo vetti tattvataha.
Mama yo vetti tattvataha.
So vikalpena yogena.
So avikalpena yogena.
Yujyate natra samshayaha.
Vichyate natra samshayaha.
A translation by Prabhupada ki jai. Repeat after me. One who is factually convinced of this opulence.
One who is convinced of
this opulence.
And my mystic power, and mystic power of mind.
And mystic power
of mind.
Engages in unalloyed devotional service.
Engages in unalloyed devotional service.
Of this there is no doubt.
Of this there is no doubt.
Atra samshaya, there is no doubt, right? So look at one who is factually convinced of this opulence. Which opulence? We have seen the previous shloka. Everything comes from Krishna, from his mind, Brahma's mind, 7 rishis, Sapta rishis, 4 Kumaras. All those personalities they create. It means the original Purusha is Krishna, is also called Sarvakarana, everything coming from him. And once we know that fact that everything is coming from Krishna, then there's no doubt we completely engage in unalloyed devotional service. The Supreme Lord, one who is actually convinced of this opulence and mystic power. Conviction is not easy task for us to get a conviction. We hear from this year, we leave from other year. The conviction only comes when we are in touch with the spirituality, when we are in touch with the Shastra every day, every minute, every second, then only the conviction comes. Otherwise, conviction is not an easy task to get it. Okay, so what we will do, we read the purport given to Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, then we focus on some points. Do you have any volunteer who can read the first paragraph other than Simeshwar Prabhu? Participants? Go ahead, Mataji.
The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. This factual knowledge can be known from the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures.
Very nice, Mataji. So, the highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Lord, knowledge of the absolute truth. Okay, the knowledge can be perceived in three different ways about the Supreme Lord: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Sabhyate, Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, Bhagavan realization. The highest spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Bhagavan realization. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulence of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Here, unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences, Krishna has multivarious potencies. Parasya Shakti, Sudaiva Suyate. The multivarious potencies. We have 6 opulences, 100%. That's why Parasramana explained Aishvaryasa Samagra Virasya. And there are 6 opulences of Krishna, 100%. Is called Bhagavan. And unless we understand this and assimilate this information, then we'll accept it. Then only we know about the Supreme Lord. And it's not only just that one, knowledge, knowing, understanding, realization. See, knowing and understanding gives some bhakti, but realization doesn't come that easily. So realization only comes when you're involved in the service, when you are involved in the Krishna Bhakti sincerely, then to the spiritual master, we can get the realization. See, knowledge, jnana vijnana, jnana in the mind, and that jnana from the mind comes to the heart, that becomes realization. The realization comes how the mercy of the Supreme Spiritual Master, mercy of the Vaishnavas. But how that mercy comes is that generally people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great, why is great. He has the details. If one knows actually how God is great, then naturally becomes surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional. So what we do, because we don't know how to surrender to the Supreme Lord, we surrender to the people who are outside who can show gimmicks to them. But Supreme Lord, as Yogeshwara, he has all the tricks with him. But the problem is we don't see through our naked eye, and we try to don't believe in this devotional service of the Lord. That's why the recommended process, when one actually knows the opulence of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. Once you know the greatness of the Supreme Lord, we surrender to him. Even in case of Hiranyakashipu, the great yogi, he meditated thousands of years to fight with Vishnu. Right? He did not realize the power of the God. Even Lord Brahma himself, he was thinking Krishna is an ordinary person, and he played a game with him. And after Brahma Vimochana Leela, he surrendered to the Supreme Lord. So everybody has a work to do to know the opulences of the Supreme Lord. Okay, that's called devotional service, because basically the Supreme Lord can be known only through by service, not by mental concoction or philosophical speculation. That means service means even reading Shastra, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, reading about the pure devotees of the Lord, reading about the Lord himself, his Leelas. Bhagavatam is a full narration of the devotees of the Lord and Lord himself. And those things would give a conviction that Supreme Lord is great. Now we can say the Lord is great. If you take any pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Govardhan Leela, at the age of 7 years, Krishna was able to lift Govardhan on his pinky. So hearing those stories from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they purify our heart, because the whole problem is the impurities we have present in our heart, our mind. They don't allow us to believe that Krishna is the supreme, because our false ego, because we want to be the controllers. So that's why Bhagavatam also says, what happened? Srunuvatam sakata Krishna punya sravana kirtanam hridayantasya hi abhadrani dhanoti srutsvatam. When you hear Krishna Katha regularly, regular attendance in Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhakti Ribhavati Nayishtiki. So, by regular attendance in Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavata classes, will impart knowledge needed to understand the Supreme Lord. Then when you're in that service of hearing Krishna Katha on and on and on, then the realization takes place by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. At that point, we can realize how great God is. Okay, He is there, and also who are we? That's what first chapter, sixth chapter. Nicely, Krishna explains what is the position of the living entity, what is the devotional service, how we need to act in the Nishkama Karma Yoga, how we need to work on the Bhagavad Arpita Nishkama Karma Yoga. So these acts all helps us to elevate our consciousness and feel how great God is. And hearing about his devotees, for example, Prahalad Charitra, how great Prahalad Maharaj, how much conviction Prahalad Maharaj has on Supreme Lord. When Hiranyakashipu came and asked him, can you show me your father in this pillar? And Prahalad Maharaj had a conviction very clearly. When I remember this Prahalad story, I remember one time, Amritananda Prabhu in Maratha Vishwa Hall, he made a huge pillar. I don't know whether he remembers or not, but I remember. He made a huge pillar and we detonated that. He came out of that pillar. Do you remember Amritananda Prabhu that? I don't know, but I remember. So we made a huge pillar. From that pillar, you came out. That's Narsingha Chaturdasi drama we did. So these are the some of the stories listening to Krishna Katha that purifies our heart. Srunutam Zakata Krishna, Punya Sravana Keda, Hridayantasya hi abhadrani. Why we don't accept Krishna Supreme? Because of our offensive nature to Krishna. I'll give example. When some kirtans are going on, what happens? People fold their hands, they start in the last line. And they think only people sitting in the front line is the responsibility of chanting. All back people, they can enjoy, they keep on talking about politics, about their work. And when senior people go and tell them chant, say, yeah, I'll do it. They never take the name of Krishna. Again, when you turn around, they say, oh, yeah, I will do it. So it means a person to take the name of Krishna is also very, very difficult for such offensive people, because Krishna doesn't allow them to chant because of offensive nature. So, but who have taken up this Krishna conscious movement, accepting Krishna, is the liberated souls. And these souls might have done a lot of Ashwamedha yagas in their previous lifetimes. And that's why they're accepting Krishna as the Supreme. Accepting Krishna as the Supreme itself is a liberation. Prabhupada writes in books. Accepting Krishna as a Supreme Personality of God itself is a liberation for the devotees of Krishna. Because we don't aspire for any other liberation other than service to Krishna. What is that? Rupa Goswami says, Haridasya something, Karmana Manasagira, Jivan Muktasya Vuchyate. Karmana Manasagira, by body, mind, and words. When you are aligned with the Krishna conscious activities, you don't have to look for anywhere liberation. You are already liberated in this material world. So that is how we know about the opulences of the Lord through devotees and reading literature, through beautiful literature provided by our divine priest Prabhupada on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And very clearly, Prabhupada's each and every purport will give. Even if you read one purport in your lifetime, that would really give liberation to us. You don't have to be. Okay, thank you, Amritsar Prabhu. I remember that you made that pillar and you came out of that. I remember that incident very well. Thank you. Yeah. So that is how Supreme Lord glories. When our heart is filled with so much dirt, we cannot accept Krishna as the Supreme Person. Especially starting chapter 7 to 12. Then up to 6th chapter, who are we? We are the part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna. And when you say Aham Brahmasmi, what do you mean Aham Brahmasmi? It's not that I am the God. I'm the part and parcel of the Lord. Krishna is Vibhu, I am Anavu. And all these qualities, but Krishna and I have the same qualities, but qualitatively, Vaishnava Acharyas beautifully explained that, we are the same qualities, but qualitatively same with the quantitatively different. So Krishna is Sachidananda Vigraha, but we are many Sachidananda Vigrahas, like a sun rays and sun. Sun ray also same power like sun, but the intensity of sun ray is compared to the whole sun is little. It can cause only certain amount of effect on the environment. If you take a small sun ray and put a small paper can be burned. We cannot burn whole house, but whereas sun can burn whole house. Same way, we are the part and parcel, like a sun rays from the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord is very gigantic, Sachidananda Vigraha. So those are some of the opulences when we read from chapter 1 to chapter 6, and from chapter 7 onwards, Krishna is about telling about his own Swamsha, his expansions, how different energies of Krishna act, and how different energies are manifested in this material creation, etc., etc. All these things, when you know these opulences of the Supreme Lord, then we feel like, God, Krishna is the Supreme, and we can engage in the service, and when we engage in the service, you get realizations. That keeps on going like that. So ultimately, when you read these chapters, especially this 10th chapter, next 4 shlokas are the Chatur Shloka of Bhagavad Gita, starting next shloka onwards, 4 shlokas. Krishna gives Aham Sarvasa Prabhu, Matta Samprati. Krishna says, everything is emanating from me, this material creation, spiritual creation. Some people think I'm in this material world, how I have to connect to Krishna. No problem. Krishna's external energy, also Krishna's energy. But there's a way we can connect from external energy to Krishna's internal energy to the process of devotion service. Okay. Yeah. One more volunteer for the second paragraph, please. Please open up. We are working whole day, stressed out. This is the best way to relax, reading Bhagavad Gita. And open up, devotees. Please read second paragraph. It's a gain. It's a win-win situation by reading. No loss in your lives, please. A small amount of devotional service that save you from the greatest danger. 2.40. You can read. So read, anybody on the call, please. You're acquiring some credits here, please.
Sure, Prabhuji. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them are Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the 4 great Kumaras and the other patriarchs. There are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original forefather of all forefathers.
Look at that. Look at that. Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the original forefather of all forefathers. If you, for example, you take, who is that Prabhu read just now? What is your name, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, this Sudhakar.
Oh, Sudhakar. Oh, Sudhakar. Right. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed through the planetary system. And the chief of them are Brahma. Brahma is the highest demigod. From Brahma, everything emanates. It's the secondary creator. Lord Shiva and the 4 Kumaras. All these are the original, I would say, forefathers. Because if you take our origin, okay, my father is there. His father is there. His father is there. If you keep on counting like that, who is the original father? For example, my grandfather, his father. Keep on going like that. Where is the end for it? It means it might have started at some point. That is where it started from Lord Brahma. Again, Lord Brahma also came from Lord Sri Krishna. So it shows that the original Supreme Father of all forefathers is Krishna. And also, we think that, I am born in this material world. I have an obligation to my family, my country, and my relatives, my folks, or with some demigods, etc., etc. We have, for example, society, because I am born in this society, I'm responsible for doing some things for this society, or because when any human being grow up, it's not an easy task, because we have help from our community, our society, our country, our relatives, our pitrus, etc., etc. All these things are there. You have to satisfy all of them to satisfy them. In that case, but the Prabhupada gives a example that when you pour water in the root of a tree, all the branches, twigs of a tree are satisfied. Same way, instead of satisfying each one, every one, putting different efforts, a person who takes the lotus feet of the Krishna, he has no debt to pay to anyone. No debt to pay, either Pitrunam or Runinam, Rishinam, etc. We can forego all. When you take up the service of Krishna, you're doing community service, country service, Pitru service, your parents' service. All the services will be covered in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because Krishna is the root of everyone. So when you pour the water in the root, all others automatically taken care of. You have no debt to anyone. When you take Padambuja, Sharanam of Lord Sri Krishna, when you take the lotus feet of Krishna's service. It comes that, do I need to pray this one? Do I need to pray him? Do I need to worship him? For example, Prabhupada gave instructions. We follow his instructions, right? And we have demigods. Okay, Indra, Chandra, they're giving, because we have to worship. Indra, Surya is giving sun god. Chandra is giving moonlight. Should I worship them? Instead of that, there is one sloka in Bhagavatam, I can refer that. Instead of trying to worship each and everyone and trying to satisfy, when you take up the Krishna conscious service, automatically you are taking care of all of them. You have no debt to pay to any demigods, any Pitrunam, any Trunam. That's the beauty. When you take the lotus feet of Krishna's service, it means that Krishna is the fountainhead of all these incarnations and all the entities. When you take care of the original Purusha, Krishna's the Bhagavan Swayam, you're automatically taking and paying debt to all the demigods, everyone. That's what here explaining. Original forefathers of fathers is Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, that's why this knowledge, why this chapter is explaining is that this knowledge is needed for us to take the shelter of Govinda and serve him. That's the beauty of devotional service, how we develop. When you have this knowledge, who I am, who is God, what's the difference between God and me, what is a living entity, what is my responsibility. Up to 6th chapter, Krishna beautifully explains what is living entity is supposed to do, how we need to involve in devotional service. He gives the Gyan about the soul philosophy, Sankhya Yoga, that doesn't sink properly in Arjuna's mind. Then he gives one, okay, that is primary. He gives the secondary, Gauna Bhakti Yoga, through devotional service, Bhagavataripta Nishkama Karma Yoga. And these processes can be developed. Up to 6 chapters, all these things are given. Starting 7th chapter, that is the knowledge. Who are you? Who is Krishna? And starting 7th chapter, Krishna is telling about his opulence. So who is Krishna? How he is manifested? How he is the different demigods are? What is their position? And where Krishna stands in the picture. That is what. And understanding this broader knowledge about Krishna will give that, hey, Krishna is a fountainhead. If I take devotional service to Krishna, I am covering everything in this universe. I don't have to pay to any other demigod, any other Pitrunam, any other Runinam, anything you don't have to pay. And Krishna is the fountainhead of all these incarnations and all these living entities. So that's why when this philosophy develops, then we involve fully in Krishna consciousness and we accept Krishna as the supreme, and ultimately we take his service. That's a main purpose of this. In the previous 2 slokas also Krishna gave how living entities are coming from. And actually in the 3rd canto even, this Mother Devahuti story also. Mother Devahuti is the daughter of, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, how Kapila Muni came. If you read all those scriptures, that gives greater conviction for us how Krishna is taking different incarnations, different times and different places based upon the time, place, circumstances, how he's manifesting. Krishna doesn't mind taking a lower species of animals also to show his leelas for his devotees, to satisfy his devotees. He took Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar. He took different avatars to satisfy his devotees. Paritranaya sadhunam, to give pleasure to his devotees. Vinasha Duskam comes later, but to give pleasure to his devotees, he comes. He doesn't have to come to miscreants. His energies can kill. But because he is coming to give knowledge, the happiness to his devotees, then he takes care of the second job of killing miscreants. Otherwise, he doesn't have to come kill the miscreants. His external energy is enough, sufficient enough to take care. So that's merciful Krishna is. Even in the case of chariot driver Arjuna, when a tug of war is going on, Arjuna didn't have time to tell Krishna take left or right. He just kicks on his butt. When he kicks on his left butt, he has to take Rath to left side. When he kicks on right butt, he has to take Rath to right. It means Arjuna is kicking on the butt of Krishna. What kind of Bhagavan is Lord Sri Krishna is? It means how menial service Krishna can take to satisfy his devotees, provided you take his service. There is a one shloka recently. There is a partnership between the pure devotee and Lord. Sadhava Hridayam, something I forgot. The Hridayam means he is in the devotees. Devotees are in Krishna's service, Krishna's are devotees. It's a mutual partnership between pure devotees and Lord Sri Krishna. That powerful, that innocent Krishna is. I always say that you don't need millions of dollars to satisfy Krishna. He himself did Patram Pushpam Palam Toyim Yume Bhakta. Just give me even Toyam, water, with your love and devotion. That love has to be developed by reading this chapter. Krishna is telling about his opulences. Okay, any other volunteer can read last paragraph, please? Oh, we did not read yet.
These are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service.
So look at that. Hare Krishna. There are some opulences. These are some opulences. We have read on the above a few lines for different opulences of Lord Sri Krishna. His energies, his plan to the expand. Krishna comes into Manavantara avatars, Guna avatar, Leela avatars. So many avatars he comes. There's some of the opulences of one is firmly convinced of them. He accepts Krishna with a great faith, without any doubt. Atra samshaya. Whole our doubt in our mind is because of our envious nature. Because of envious of Krishna only we came here, but did not eradicate or remove our enviousness from our mind. That's why we don't take up the devotional service. Even if you take up the devotional service, you may not convinced that Krishna is everything. All this particular knowledge is required to increase one's interest in loving service of the Lord. Because the problem in India, we have been taught fear of the God since childhood. ऐसा नहीं करना, भगवान मारेगा, भगवान को गुस्सा आएगा. We are always taught negativity about the Supreme Lord. But God is not that cruel. Even without worshipping him, he is giving so many opulences. He is giving nice education, nice building. You are eating everything. Even without worshipping him, do you think when you go to God, he's going to punish you? So we have been taught a fear of God since childhood. But that's not fear, it's a loving devotional service of the Lord. Krishna is so merciful, so innocent. Wherever Krishna Katha is going on, he comes and sits on the front row and hears his own story, as if he forgets everything about his energies and everything. He sits like a just ordinary man and he listens to Krishna Katha. If you want to see that picture, our Vaishnava Acharya from Kerala, what is his name? I forgot his name. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. I forgot his name, Vaishnava Acharya name. Bilomangala Thakur. And Bilomangala Thakur was singing Krishna Karnamrita, you see Krishna coming and just putting his hand like this and listening to his leelas by himself. So that grateful Lord Sri Krishna, that merciful he is. And also, and the if you want to really see the mercy of Krishna and his innocence, you can see how Putana was given a Goloka Vrindavan place. You all remember that, right? When Putana came, an intention of killing Krishna, poisonous, but he forgot everything, whatever negativity she brought with him. But he only remembered, since she came as my mother first breastfeed, I will give only that liberation, because she breastfed me. That because of that reason she acted as my mother. I will give her to Goloka Vrindavan. So if you or I, if somebody comes, those things, do we do the same thing? Just introspect yourself. If somebody comes and start doing negative things, we try to hate that person. We try to increase our enmity because we are envious by nature. But whereas Krishna, even though Putana came to kill him with that intention, but he has seen only positivity in her. Because she acted like my mother, I will give way whatever Mother Yashoda got a liberation, Goloka Vrindavan, I will give that liberation. That powerful, that innocent Krishna, because of innocence. It means he is the most merciful Lord of the Lords. Okay, and also here, some of you have, why I cannot worship demigods, etc. I just wanted to give, because this shloka, just, Krishna himself is telling in Bhagavad Gita 7.20, it's not to just, because a lot of devotees now, why can't I do this, why can't I do this one? Krishna himself is telling here in the translation, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires, surrendering unto demigods, and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Those intelligence has been stolen by material desires, surrender unto the demigods. So what I'm saying is, the demigod worship, Krishna himself is saying it's not required to do demigod worship. Okay, and if you take up, as I said, when you pour a water in the root of a tree, the whole tree will be nourished. In the same way, when you take up Krishna consciousness, that itself is enough. Okay, and also there's one more, the Kunti phrase. I want to share one small snippet from here. How the senses act. We are reading in morning Bhagavatam class today and yesterday. Here, if you look at here, but above all others, the supreme controller Krishna is Krishna, who is known as Rishikesha. The word Rishika means senses. We are enjoying our senses, but ultimately the controller of the senses is Krishna. Consider my hand, for example, I claim this is my hand. I can fight with you with the good fist. I am very much proud, but I am not the controller. The controller is Krishna. Because if he withdraws my hand's power to act, the hand will be paralyzed, although I claim it is my hand. Look at Prabhupada beautifully writes here, and I shall use it. When it is paralyzed, I cannot do anything. Therefore, I should understand that although I possess this hand by the grace of Krishna, I am not its controller. Who is controller? Controller is Lord Sri Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. That is God consciousness we have to develop. How beautifully Prabhupada writing. And this last paragraph I read so that, a sane man will think, okay, it's not insane man. A sane man means an intelligent man think. If this hand is ultimately controlled by Krishna, then it is meant for Krishna. Look at that. If this hand is ultimately controlled by Krishna, he is the proprietor of your senses. This is a common sense understanding, I claim. This is my hand. This is my leg. This is my ear. Even a child will speak this way. If we ask a child, what is this? He will say, it is my hand. But regardless of what we claim, actually it is not our hand. It is given to us because I wanted to use my hand so many ways. Krishna has given it to me. All right, take this hand and use it. So it is a gift from Krishna. And therefore, a sane man always consciously thinks, whatever I have in my possession, look at here, whatever I have in my possession, beginning with this body and my senses. Look at the point. beginning with this body and my senses, is actually not mine. We think, this my body, I can do whatever. Even this body doesn't belong to us. It's Krishna's. Look at this, actually not mine. I have been given all these possessions to use. And if everything ultimately belongs to Krishna, why not use everything for Krishna? This is intelligence. And that is Krishna consciousness. Now, Prabhupada, these are called Prabhupada's devotional ecstasies. Every word, just taking this one paragraph, understanding, we can all go back to Godhead. We don't need a much philosophy here. Why the whole thing has written Prabhupada again, time and again? Because we are so we are so impure. Our heart is so impure, we don't get these messages quite often. That's why Prabhupada writes time and again, put the same message here and there. We are so offensive by nature, we are all, because we don't accept Krishna. Because we are envious nature, we are envious of Krishna, we don't accept the facts. But a person who is involved in devotional service, hearing Krishna Katha, when it gets heart purified, Srimutam Sakata Krishna, Punya Savana Ketam, Rudiyanta Sohi Abhadrani. We have a lot of inauspiciousness. The next Bhagavatam says, Evam Prasanna Manaso, Bhagavad Bhakti Yogita. When we hearing Krishna Katha, when you purify our heart, and Bhagavan comes and resides in our heart. That's why Krishna says, my devotees are dearer than myself, because they carry Krishna in their heart. And when you take such association, when you read Shastra, and we get conviction that Supreme Lord Krishna is the controller, and that is how we take up the process of bhakti and implement in our lives. This is what Krishna himself is saying here. Look at that. One who is actually convinced of this opulence and my mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Why we are not in unalloyed devotional service? Because we are not convicted. We don't have proper conviction to take Krishna as a supreme. There is no doubt. Krishna himself is explaining so beautifully. Okay, what I would do, I would like to stop here, and I will take the what I would say. I don't want to questions. I want take any reflections anybody wants to share or add. I am ready to hear that. Go ahead, don't be shy. And also when you're talking, put your video camera on so that everybody can see it as well. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Govardhan Bhakta Prabhu. So nice to hear from you that such a conviction that you speak about the glories of the Supreme Lord and the devotion, importance of the devotion service. Bhakti is the supreme. You spoke nicely about the importance of getting into the devotional service with such a conviction and exclusive devotion. It's very important. Also, you mentioned about the glories of the Supreme Lord. There's nothing that which goes beyond Supreme Lord. As yesterday mentioned, the Samam Bonam, the topmost. Everything comes to this Krishna. Everything comes to Krishna. Everything else is what we see is his opulences. Krishna and Krishna's, only two things. Thank you so much for nicely explaining. So, dear devotees, anything would you like to add? Anybody would like to put some comments, some discussions? Krishna says that one of the or the devotees, the quality, they come bodhayanda parasparam kadayandischa mam nityam tushyandi jaramanticha. When they comes together and discuss among each other the glories of my glories, and they derive such a great pleasure.
Next, one of the four shlokas,
Yes, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So this is another symptom and a quality of a devotee. When they comes together, they discuss the Krishna Katha, the glories of the Lord. We had a devotee. Proji passed away last year. Remember, I forgot the name, Proji.
Who?
The Prabhuji, more to LA from here.
Oh, LA?
Yeah, Prabhuji last year with the brain tumor.
Nandalal Prabhu.
Nandadulal Prabhu. Yes. Nandadulal Prabhu, whenever Prabhuji comes, wherever Prabhuji sits, always talk about Krishna. Had that experience, Prabhuji? Did you have that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I know him very well. I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So much.
Whenever Prabhuji was,
Absolutely.
we met each other when we sat for prasadam, and always Prabhuji takes a sloka from Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam and then explains and talk about it.
Right,
And
right.
so amazing,
Amazing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, I would like to hear at least from one devotee.
Yes,
Right?
please, devotees.
Please. It's not what you all also equally situated. You also experience. So share them. We are going to learn from you all of you. It's not just one person talking. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Gunjan Mataji, you go ahead. Gunjan Mataji always talks nice. Go ahead, Gunjan Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class, Prabhuji. That's all I have to say. It was very clear message that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything in this universe, like everything. Like, so, I mean, just like how we water, like as you said, like we just water the roots and everything, like the water goes, the energy goes to all the branches and the leaves. So it's exactly like that there. I mean, like we just worship Krishna and automatically we get freed of all the rinas, like the pitra rina and all other rinas.
Absolutely right. Right.
Do that.
We have no debt to anyone when you take up Krishna consciousness. All the debt have been paid off because we as I take we have society. We go in the society. We need to give some gift to society. Okay, I'm taking Surya from Surya Deva, Chandra Deva. When you take up Krishna consciousness, all debts have been already paid off. Right. Absolutely.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, very nicely explained, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Sudhakar Prabhu, Sachimataji. Speak up. I'll tell you. See, the reason I do Bhagavatam class, I make everyone read because everyone has to talk about Krishna every 2 to 3 minutes. That's a Prabhupada recommendation. When you talk, when words comes to your mouth, relations comes. And thought process starts. When you talk, you think about Krishna. So everything is a devotional service. That's why I make everyone to read and explain what they understood. Doesn't matter. Hey, we are all learning. It's not that somebody is a Paramahamsa here. We are all Gruhasthas, we have families, we have same problems. We are just learning together. But everybody has to speak. That has to come. Words have to come from the mouth. Ajay Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Ajay Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji. In one of the class, I heard the sloka, Prabhuji. Bhoktaram
Tapasyam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatmamam Shanti Machati. 5.29 that shloka. Prabhupada spoke that shloka in the United Nations after Second World War. And when people are fighting, he said, where is the United Nations? There is no United Nations. Everything is united, fall down. And Prabhupada gave, who is the Bhakta, who is the real enjoyer, Lord Sri Krishna. It's a beautiful shloka, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah, Prabhuji, if you explain that more, I would like to listen, Prabhuji.
Yeah, maybe next class, we take that next class, maybe Simeshwar Prabhu or somebody. That's a beautiful shloka, 529. Prabhupada gave a United Nations class on that one, Actually, who is a Bhokta, who is a real enjoyer? Krishna is a real enjoyer. Because Rishikesh and Rishikesh Heavanam, because Krishna is the master of the senses. When you try to serve for Krishna's senses, our senses automatically get satisfied. Why? Because we are part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna. But when you try to enjoy independently on our senses, we're entangled in this material world. So that's a very clear message. Because Krishna is a superset. We are all subsets in Krishna. So when the superset is satisfied, all the subsets are satisfied. We are part and parcel of Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna is the master of the senses. When you satisfy his senses, you don't have to put a separate endeavorment to satisfy your senses. He is the ultimate bhokta, he is the ultimate enjoyer. We falsely claim nothing belongs to us in this world. Everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to Krishna. When you have that intention, with that mood, when you work, even your work becomes worship. Your family becomes devotees. Your house becomes Vaikuntha. That is how mood has to be developed. Only with association of the devotees of the Lord.
Yeah. Nice, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Are we closing Prabhuji here, or do you have anything?
Yeah. Anybody else?
Everybody got tired at work and I don't want to speak about. This is what I work whole day and then we
Prabhu is not there.
Is that?
Murdananda Prabhu.
He's there. He's listening mode. He texted me separately. He's in listening mode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. Sachimataji left already. It's too late for the families. They want to cook and take prasadam also. Yeah. Okay. But I think we can end here, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, if there is nothing else, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, we thought we will have the book distribution call, or you think we should
Yes, we will have the book distribution call. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have the book distribution call and continue this one. And I would humbly request, dear devotees, please stay on and we can discuss the book distribution plans. This is a very, very important service and for Srila Prabhupada and for our benefit. It's very, 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 very much purification. If you distribute books and in the Sankirtana and preaching, and it's all wonderful. So please stay on, and we will discuss the plan for coming weeks and how we can improve our book distribution plans. So before that, thank you, Govardhan Bhakta Prabhu, for a wonderful class as always, and thank you so much. And let's also thank all the devotees who have attentively, regularly, and this is enthusiasm, regularly attend these classes and relishing and discussing and sharing the realizations. Really a devotee sangha, and this is the mercy of Krishna. And without the mercy of Krishna, this is not possible. So thank you all for joining. So Hare Krishna. So let's continue our book distribution, meeting. So I would request Puneet Prabhuji to begin with the pranam mantra, and then we will get into the agenda of today's meeting. Wonderful.
Haribol Prabhuji, then the pranam, all glories to Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Swami Namani Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prachara Nirvishya Shishulavad Ashita Vishnu Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakti. Well, thank you, dear devotees, all for joining. So we want to start with our last book distribution festival we had at the Apna Bazaar. It was a great success. Thank you everybody for joining, and we want to say a loud Hari Bol for everyone who were out there and who participated and made it a great success. So let's chant 3 times Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Yes. And just wanted to share the success of that day. 375 Lakshmi points we collected on Sankirtan, and it was so nice. So also for that we can say Hari Bol,
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Haribo,
Hari.
Haribo.
And also, Prabhuji, we met quite a new devotees, and there were more um, thoughts and suggestions from other devotees on how we can make it more successful. So I will share that also.
Yeah.
And then next thing on the agenda is we had our meeting with the combined meeting with the Bergen County team, and we have a list of items we would like to share. Bring it up on the call and how we can get started. Wonderful ideas came up in the call, so we want to do that. Thirdly, we want to talk about the inventory. With Gaur Purnima coming, we have inventories of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We request devotees to kindly talk to other devotees and have as many books distributed, because this is a good time, and devotees are coming out, people are coming out, and this is based on the experience we had in our large distribution also. So definitely we see a lot of potential talking to the devotees and talking to other friends, families. Lord Chaitanya will be extremely um, blissful, and will be blessing us. So I pray to all of you that please take participation in the book distribution. Also, there are some changes which is going to take place in the temple for the storage. So we need some volunteers this Saturday for some moving of the books to a different location from the storeroom into the outside container. So we have temporary help. We are expecting outside help, but if not, then we will take help from the devotee here. So that again, if anybody's willing, anybody's available Saturday, please let me know and we can plan something. So that's the other thing. And then we also want to decide about Gaur Purnima coming, so and our next Nagar Sankirtan date, how we want to work this out. Probably. So these are the 4 agenda items which we want to touch upon.
Wonderful. Very nice. Thank you so much, Puneet Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Yeah, Haribo. So let's have some brainstorming. Let's pick up the first item, agenda item. You mentioned about this weekend the books. So I spoke to Premakishore Prabhu, and Premakishore Prabhu is going to bring those devotees, those help from the outside. You can follow up with him, Prabhuji, if he's coming on weekdays. And we already mentioned to him that, empty out or just, all the other items from the container, the first container, take it out and put it on the other ones. Bring all the books, inside the container. And then we all can help and to organize nicely on this weekend.
Right, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So who all would be available